Today on Questions, it's 2021. Is church still worth it? Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Questions. The question for today, which again can be found on our Instagram, and you can always be sending in more questions through DMs, comments, what have you. We have an Instagram page called Fellowship Cooperative. There's this YouTube channel right here, whatever works for you. But the question for today is church still worth it if every church I've ever been to has hurt me? Short answer, I don't know. Before we get too far into this, and before the crowds seek to tar and feather me for what I just said, actually, I am about as traditional of a Western Hemisphere American pastor as you can get. I work in a church building. I'm in my office right now. These are churchy books. These are church files. Obviously, I believe that church is worth it. And in this form, it works for me. So, clearly, I'm not anti-church. But I think an important question is to ask yourself, what is your definition of church? When you think of church, do you think church is a building? It has church written somewhere on the building, and you go to this building once or twice a week, and you sit through an hour-and-a-half program of music performed by people with a wide range of skills, and then you sit through a half-hour lecture, and maybe sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, and then you leave really unchanged, but the guilt you would feel about not going to this church is alleviated, so at least you got that going for you. Or is church something you do, and it's something you are with a group of people around you? To put it very simply, church is about coming together with a group of people that you are united with, that you have you're like-minded. You come together and you do life together as you draw deeper into the divine in worship. And so when I talk about worship too, I mean in terms of worship, not like worship songs necessarily, but worship. Think about worship all through history. It's looked very different. I'm talking about being thankful, being in awe, actually coming to the understanding that there's something bigger than you and that thing is good and deserves to have your awe. So that being said, church can look wildly different than it does in the Western Hemisphere, especially different than it does in America, in the United States. I believe that with this mindset, going for a hike with people and marveling at creation and the creator who created this creation can be church. Having people over to your house to sit at your table and share a meal together can be worship. Sunday brunch with your besties can be church. It just depends on, are you with a group of people that are like-minded, that you're united with in the journey to draw deeper into the presence of the divine in worship. That's it. That is so simple that it is so easy to accomplish. If you think about what church looked like in the scriptures that we have, nowhere does it say you go to a building that's designated church and you sit through worship songs ranging from the 1990s to 2 months ago. If you're at a different kind of church, no songs past the 1860s. And then you sit through a half-hour sermon that one guy gives based on what he's thinking about from nowhere does it say that. When you look at what church looked like in Scripture and through history, it was just people doing life and trying to draw deeper into the presence of the divine. So that being said, I truly believe that everyone worships something. Everyone, there's an old Bob Dylan song, you gotta serve somebody. Everyone serves somebody. Whether it be comfort, pleasure, the government, the country, Maybe you're worshiping church, money, or some form of the divine. So that being said, church can become really toxic if we're worshiping something toxic. With this definition of church, then, it bumps up against, and it kind of butts heads with the idea of a lot of people have of church, and especially how the definition of church has changed because of 2020 and the panini we all find ourselves in. I know a lot of people who, because church had to move online, because we were quarantined, they actually liked it because then they could search for better sermons and better worship without feeling social pressures from the people around them. Like, they didn't have to watch the live stream of the church they've been attending their entire lives. They could suddenly go and attend better churches, better sermons, better worship. But my challenge to that is I don't think that's church. And I have no problem with better sermons and better worship. All the time I'm looking up sermons online because I love me when people lecture about the Lord. If I go online, I can find better worship and better sermons than I've ever heard from anyone around me, anything I could ever do or accomplish myself. They're great. But technology is not made to go deep. Even this can only go so deep. Technology is made to be pretty surface level. And when I go online, when I search for worship or I search for a sermon, I'm probably not going to search for something that actually challenges me. More often than not, I'm going to look for something that caters to me. No matter how self-aware we are, no matter how dedicated we are to self-improvement, we're always going to be somewhat blind to how we operate, how we interact. We are ignorant all the time of how our words hurt other people or how our actions affects other people. And so if we're only doing church online, if we are only listening to sermons we want or learning or listening to worship songs we want, we are not going to get those people who are in our lives who want to help us grow, who will say, hey, when you do this, you're hurting us, or you're hurting this person, or we see you're struggling with this, and we want to try to be there for you and help you. There have been so many times in my life where the people around me, loved ones in my community, have said, hey, it seems like you're struggling, or hey, it seems like you're going through a hard time. And I didn't even realize I was, but they know me, and they love me, and they've seen this, and they want what's best for me, so they have sought to help me. If I was only doing church through social media, if I was only doing church through finding sermons that I want or worship songs that I want, I would not grow. We need people in our lives who are willing to speak truth, even if that truth kind of sucks and is kind of convicting. We need it to speak into us to help us grow and to change. And so I'm not knocking doing church online. It's definitely been necessary, but we need to have people who will actually speak. We need to go and search for things, not just that we want, but actually have things that we need. And that can really only happen if there is a community, not just sermons, not just worship, but the people who know us, who love us, and who want what's best for us. So that being said, should we still do church? Is church still worth it? If church has only ever hurt you? I would say, like I've said, whether you want to do church or not, you will go to a form of church because we all serve something. So whether or not it looks like the 21st century Western Hemisphere, United States of America church, or it looks like you going to work Monday through Friday to serve the God of money, you're going to go to church. My invitation and my challenge would be when we interact with other people, when we do life with other people, we have to accept that people aren't perfect. You know, I said like church is about being in unity with a group of people. And far too often when we say unity, what people hear is conformity. So many churches think that we all have to think the same, we all have to believe exactly the same, we all have to look like cookie cutter people living life, doing church together, and if you don't fit that cookie cutter, to hell with you. I'm saying unity. I'm saying we are united in a goal, we are united in a journey, but we don't all conform. We're united, we're not conformed. So people in this church that I'm a part of, we don't think the same, we don't believe the same things, we stretch out across the divide of politics and theology, but we're united to doing life together. We love one another even in our differences. But that doesn't always look perfect because we aren't perfect. People are broken, people are hurting, people, to put it in Christianese, people are sinful. All have fallen short of the glory of God. You're never going to find a perfect church, just like you're never going to find a perfect person. You know, is church still worth it if every church I've ever been to has hurt me? Is dating still worth it if every other person I've ever dated has hurt me? I say yes, because I went through relationship after relationship, and I either hurt the person I was dating, or the person I was dating has hurt me, and we broke up, and it was a mess. But then I found my wife. I found that person that I decided, you are so great. What you give, who you are, the essence of your being is so magnificent. I want to spend the rest of my life diving into it and growing deeper with you and learning more of who you are as you help me be a better person. I hopefully help you be a better person. I want to be with you, and I want you in my life as much as possible until the day one of us dies. But does that mean we're perfect? No! Does that mean we don't fight or bicker or hurt one another? No! All it means is that the good that we give to each other, what we do for one another, is better than all the bad we do to one another. And that when we do bad, we really strive to not do it again, knowing it's going to happen, but always striving for what's best, always striving to be better, always striving to help one another go through the crap of this life together. Church should be the same way. Is church going to be perfect? No. Are the people in your community at a church going to be perfect? No. Is there going to be hurt? Is there going to be wrongdoings? Yes. But is church still worth it? I say you can't escape church, because we're going to serve somebody. So then my challenge to that would be, if we can't escape church and we can't escape human interaction, because we need human interaction, but striving for human interaction is going to cause hurt, then my challenge would be to find a different church. You know, if the traditional, stereotypical Western Hemisphere United States church has only ever hurt you, stop going to it. Stop going to the boring program with the worship music and the lecture that does nothing. Find something that actually causes you to grow, to change, to strive to be better, that actually invites you deeper into the presence of the divine in a way that isn't painful to an extent that is damaging. If it's inviting people over for dinner and sharing a meal and just talking, if it's going out into nature with friends and marveling at the creation of this universe, whatever it might look like, whatever it might be, do it. Because all you gotta do is have a community of people that you do life with as you grow together in worship and drawing deeper into the presence of the divine. That's all it takes. And that is so simple. And it looks nothing like this. This fits into that system. That system doesn't always fit into this system. This traditional church. So, that is what I got for everyone. I hope that all made sense. I hope that was all beneficial. I hope that if you are struggling to find church, that this way of thinking about church can help you. So grace, peace, and see you next time. Cheers.